So I'm going to introduce Anwesha, who's part of the community engineering and partner engineering team, who's going to be talking about how we can better support our communities.
Thank you. So essentially, Gundalow and I, we are standing between you and lunch and walking tour. So we promise that we are going to be very, very quick. So first things first, we tried to make this agenda in a way so that we can have conversation about each of the important topics, like in our minds. So firstly, we tried to bucket them together. But here are some topics which we think it's important and we need to know your opinion about, but we did not know how to bucket them. So instead, we put it all together and bringing it up to you. So essentially, it is. Essentially, we are going to discuss each of these topics. That is the agenda, and it is the agenda of the session. We are going to go down with all these topics like Bullhorn, Meetups, social media, and release calendars, and then we want your opinion. What do you want? What can be made better? This is a discussion ground, not a talk at any given point of time. So please stop us whenever you have a question. So the first of that topic is Bullhorn. So Bullhorn, how many of you are subscribed in Bullhorn? Okay. There are few, 3-4 hands which has not been raised. Therefore, I would actually recommend you. This is our newsletter. It goes on weekly, and please subscribe to Bullhorn. Now, essentially, previously Carol used to be the editor for Bullhorn. Now Sandra and I from the team are doing the Bullhorn releases. So Gundalow actually posted some ideas that how can we improve Bullhorn. Now, Gundalow, do you want to explain on that?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So if we sort of step back a little bit before we talk about improving, to remind ourselves the purpose of the Bullhorn, right? It is a weekly newsletter for you folks and Red Hatters to share what's going on. It's designed to be quick, rapid feedback. It's designed to be easy. It is not a curated, polished thing. Typos accepted, right? Like we try and do quick, tidy up stuff, but like we just want it to get out there. It's all our quick. We link to forum posts. We let you know about new releases that are happening. The community lets yourselves know about new things that are going on. We've just done a forum post on. I've just got a forum post on the status.ansible.com, so I'll put that on. And I see we've already got a question. Brilliant.
Yes, is there some less frequent version of Bullhorn which only presents some higher level changes?
So the question was, well, you understand why there's a weekly edition. Is there something maybe monthly or quarterly that's sort of a summary of the important news? No, we don't have that, and I understand totally why you're asking for that. I think that's maybe we do a quarterly edition or something. And so in that, would you be looking for historical information rather than the forward-looking? So it's like, this is what's been achieved, or here's some notable updates you might have missed. What type of things would you like?
Maybe both. Just bigger changes, maybe past and upcoming breaking changes.
Yeah, so the feedback was that sort of highlight maybe over the past month or the past quarter, maybe what are some of the bigger changes, what is still relevant today. So obviously we wouldn't put in every collection update, but if there's bigger updates, so some major releases of collections or new collections that are maybe in, that feels useful. Show of hands who would be interested in having sort of a quarterly digest? 2, 3, 3.5, 4, 5, 6, 10 of you maybe? Okay, cool. No one's ever suggested that before, and I can totally see the value of that. Take a little bit of work to curate, but all the information's there. That's great, thank you. You started us off, so these are just some ideas we've got, and I can talk about them. But who has contributed to the Bullhorn? Okay, 10 or so maybe. For the folks that have not, do you think you've ever had anything that you could share or might be noteworthy for other people to read? You ever done something interesting or found an interesting blog? I'm not going to call you liars, but I do expect there to be some hands up there. Okay, that's fair enough then. So I think 90% of you subscribe to the Bullhorn, which is brilliant. What articles or updates in there are you finding useful, and which are just not useful? Like, I'm quite happy for people to say these things aren't useful, and we can stop observing them. But, what type of bits are you finding useful? Do you, Daniel?
I think when there has been the announcements about new features in the core, when they're announced in the Bullhorn, it's pretty important and they've been really useful. So that kind of content.
Yeah, so the comment was making the announcements clear about the bigger updates, such as the templating changes we talked about, or Python updates.
Yeah, that one. I think, I've done a couple of them, but we need to figure out. That needs to get on our core checklist for features at past some bar, send the ball.
And this now makes me think, because of the way the Bullhorn works, you basically submit it and it'll go into that week's edition and then it drops off the list. But now with the suggestion of the quarterly update type thing, maybe we need a sticky news item where it appears for a few weeks at a time. Because unless you happen to be reading that edition of the Bullhorn and realising the template changes, I think for that we did put a banner up on the forum, but we've got to be careful on signal to noise. Would that be? Do we think that might be something useful where, for notable changes, we sort of repeat the same information for a few weeks? Or are we getting into noise there rather than information?
Also, I think those discussion announcements, like invitations to take part to
The open
give some
polls,
feedback, I think it's useful.
the open polls and the discussions and all other stuff. Also, apart from all these conversations, there were some other ideas which we were thinking about. Our team has been a pretty big supporter of what is for the community should be by the community, and it is therefore handed over to the community. So what do you think will be a good idea? Do you think it would be a good idea if we can have some community editors to release Bullhorn, to work on Bullhorn? Okay, let's break the silence with show of hand. So what do you think? Do you think that anyone from the community right now over here would be interested in releasing, being the editor for Bullhorn and releasing Bullhorn?
Would any of you like to
Yes.
help out and become an editor? Say again?
Time.
Yep.
Okay.
How much time does it take usually? Every week, let's say, to edit it?
Initially, when you are starting, it takes long, like half a day. Generally, it's half day or less than that. Because, and before, if any one of you are interested, then only we'll try to automate the thing more. Because it's mostly automated, but we have to work on the automation so that it's not taking a lot of time. Okay, still we could not lure any people to actually edit Bullhorn. So fine, we can do with that. Also, there are some other things which, as the idea for quarterly release of big Bullhorns have been generating. So, do you think it would be a good idea if we can have two things? One, a section of blogs where short blogs or short posts from people, not really 4-liners, but rather maybe a 10-line or a 5-line thing for that quarterly release of Bullhorn, one. And secondly, do you want to hear any voices? So it's sorry Felix, I'm picking on you, that ask anything to Felix. So for 3 months in a row, we are going to have a section where you can ask Felix anything on a forum post, and then Felix can consolidate. Felix, Nitz, Gundalow, anyone can consolidate all those questions in a post for like 5 sentences or 10 sentences or whatever it is, a short post for a quarterly release of Bullhorn.
Dear Felix.
Daniel?
I think the community, like blogs and stuff, would be really good. Just to help with, if there's any like cool ideas someone's blogging about, something they're doing interesting with Ansible and Core, then yeah, I think that'd be really good to get that in.
Yeah, and just as a reminder for those, folks that don't have blog platforms, right? We have a social area on the Ansible forum, right? As long as it's on topic, use that. Go do like I'm not asking for Sean Kavanagh. You've seen, is it Sean X86 or whatever his handle is? Type crazy Americanisms and stuff. But like, yeah, go share ideas. You're all doing really cool stuff. We'd love to hear about what you're doing. One of the main things we know is that at the moment you need a Matrix account to be able to post to the forum, and I know that's a real barrier to entry. Show of hands, who's on Matrix? Wow, okay, that's a lot more than I thought. How many of you are on any of the Ansible Matrix channels? That's almost everyone in the room. So you've got no excuses then for how to post, right? So you jump into the social channel, #social, /ansible.com, and you do @newsbot tab and just write some little markdown. Okay. Very simple. I can do it. I'm a manager, right? So you folks are far more technically minded than me, so that'll be good. So for those that aren't a Matrix, or for those that are probably aware that it is a barrier for entry, any ideas how we can make it easier for folks to contribute? It's, yeah, you probably lost your voice. Yeah.
Given that you're using Discord for the forum, you can have a Discord to Matrix push, or you can use the email to Matrix. There is a ready-made open source project from ETMKK. I think it's Google or something like that. And that you send it an email, it will come in the Matrix channel. So you keep your Matrix channel as your single source of truth, and you automate everything from there, but you just have other entry points where people who do not have Matrix still can get it.
And also send out, like subscribe, and it sends
That's a very good idea.
That Synapse already does, so you need to check your configuration.
No, I'm just asking if it can do it.
I'm not sure, I think it's only incoming, but I don't remember.
Yeah, so the suggestion there was that we can keep Matrix as the source of truth, but since we're obviously using Discourse Ansible Forum, we could have maybe a tag or a way to either email in, and then that will get piped into the Matrix channel. Yeah, that's really easy. Everyone has email, I think, still. So yeah, I like that. And obviously, one of the things we really try to do is to force people, strongly encourage people onto the Ansible forum, which is why we've got QR codes and bits. But yeah, that's a good idea. Andrew.
How about maybe excluding Matrix from the loop entirely, and instead to use forum?
Yeah, I mean, when we set this stuff up, if you remember the timeline from yesterday, like the forum wasn't a thing when we started this, so it was IRC and then Matrix. I mean, one of the nice things about the forum is that's where the discussion is, right? So it sort of keeps people on track. Bigger change, but I think there's probably some bits there to think about, yeah.
Maybe it could be something like on the event calendar, there's like an event for that specific weekly release or quarterly edition of the Bullhorn, and then folks could reply to that event, and that would be those would be the bits of content that would be included in that edition.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And that's quite nice because the forum's marked down, so it's easy to just copy and paste
Copy
or
and, yes,
or to
or
pass stuff.
automate.
Yeah, nice.
Then we can actually go to the next topic, I think.
Yeah, any other content folks would like to see in the Bullhorn? Like, are you do you think we've got the right amount of information on the collection releases? I could automate it, but then you'd be drinking from the fire hose, right? Because there's got, I don't know, however many thousands of collections, and I'm guessing you don't want to know about every time someone fixes a typo in a bit of docs, but it's like, do you only want to know when there's major updates, major Semver updates to collections? Like, any thoughts on? I'm seeing you nodding, so I'm going to pick on you, sir, on the front row.
Yes, I like when you do the major updates. I
Yeah.
think every update, as
Isn't
said,
it?
does not make sense, but well, I had the feeling, at least in the past year, that you put the right amount of updates.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, it's
most
not,
of them is not interesting for me, but sometimes it's exactly that one I'm interested in, that's fine.
yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That now makes me think maybe we should publicise, because GitHub notifications have got a lot better over the past few years, and I think now you can subscribe to repo and only receive release notifications. So maybe that's something we can sort of publicise, that you make a note of that then. Yeah, any other thoughts about what other content would be useful? Any updates? Cool, okay. So, meetups. It's one of the reasons we're all here, because we, even though we're geeks, we occasionally like to be social, and we have social batteries, and I know we're on day 3 and it's lunch soon, so I should stop rambling and get to the point now. Yeah, meetups. The great way, show of hands, who has been to an Ansible meetup? It's about half, maybe a little bit more. Okay, cool. Who has presented or at an Ansible meetup? Good show of hands, good show of hands. Cool. And my favourite people in the room, who has helped organise an Ansible meetup. These folks deserve a round of applause, actually, before we... So it's organising these things, and this is... Well, I won't embarrass you, but Toshan's one of the organisers. Everybody's using the whole hair this week. That's one of the main folks. So yeah, this takes a lot of effort, right? And we want to make it easier. And I think there's... Ton and I were chatting earlier, it's like, well, we can get the venues and stuff, but I think one of the problems I think people are facing, and I'm the maintainer of co-host of the London meetup, we're trying to find speakers. And we want this stuff to be generally in person, because, it's to have a slice of pizza and have a little chat. It's all the hallway conversations that will happen after this. So how can we make that easier? Do we want to be thinking about like speaker directories of people that are around? I'm obviously being careful with location stuff. I'm not going to track people's location, but sorry, I should put the map up. So these are the 37 cities, quite too small. We've got 37 meetup groups, but some of the groups, like India, I think we've actually got 11 groups under there, and Ireland we've got sort of 3 or 4. But that's roughly what we look like at the moment. So do we think having some way of identifying people opting in, trying to be careful, being obviously careful about people's information, to say, oh, I'm in this area, if there is something happening at some point, I'd like to know and would be interested, like maybe we can, I don't know how we publicise this, but do some different ways.
So essentially there are 2 things which happened last year. So we are now on Meetup Pro. And also we have a new meetup strategy. Have you heard of the new meetup strategy? Okay, so we do have Ansible community meetup repo. If you go there in the docs, you will be able to find the new meetup strategy, which has been published in forum, and it was open for poll. If you want anything to be changed over there, send a pull request. We would love to have a discussion over it. So that is one thing. Also, we do have Ansible Meetup Toolkit. It has been developed like 3 years ago. It is and it is being used by many other different communities, such Python, Fedora. People are using it. So I would really strongly encourage the people who are organizing meetups or any event, you will find all the resources over there. Now there is one sort of a resource which would be like, I organize I'm a long time meetup organizer. So there are 3 essential things which a meetup organizer faces problem with. A, finding speaker, B, finding venue, and 3, finding sponsors. For the first, like for all these things, do you think that if we have a repo in that particular place, in that these are the interested speakers, where the interested speakers can register themselves, say that I am expert in this category of topics in and around Ansible, and I want to give a I'll be available giving a meetup on presentation on the following topics in the following locations. That is one thing. Then same with the speaker and the venue itself. What do you all think about it? And secondly, do you think that the online meetup, we had our first online meetup, and do you think that if we have more online meetups, will that be online and in person, like or a hybrid kind of a style? Do you think that would be more useful?
Well,
Yes.
the online meetup, I've been following that one, and I thought that was more of a one-way traffic, and I thought it would be more a dual thing, bi-directional, and that was one of the things that disappointed me a little, because I thought, well, maybe discussion with other people or whatever. But that was my opinion. And
We did a meetup. I think it was the 2nd of October, and we used
early October, yeah.
we used the new Red Hat platform to do that, and it was one way. So it was very much a webinar, I guess.
Yeah.
There was text-based chat, and we were paying attention to that and doing Q&A, but it didn't feel like a community event, right? And that's for me why I set that up. One of the problems we had is we need a platform where we have moderation when we go to that large an event, but I don't think the tool we picked was the right one. I think we need some way of doing two-way audio with some moderation control, and maybe it's Jitsi or
Online that will be hard.
yeah.
I think they can actually accommodate that in the Red Hat platform. You just may have to bridge through something like Jitsi or whatever, where you have just kind of a blessed Jitsi something where you can give someone permissions that way, and then that becomes the presenter. Like when we want to throw it to
you
like
can
someone.
probably also do it with a big blue button that's more focused for education, and you can moderate stuff there.
Okay. I have not heard of that, so yeah, maybe we'll have a look at that.
Yeah, big blue button works very well for that.
I think with like Zoom webinar, you can still give anyone in the thing permissions. I don't know if the other one, if the Red Hat, the
Yeah.
firmware that's using did that or not. But
Cool. Yeah, that's good. So back on the speaker side. So Tom, like, what do you think? Do you think like a speakers directory? Do you think that could work?
Yeah, that could work, but one of the things that you need, and one of the things that you always run into, what is the level of expertise that you want to, hand out to the attendees? Maybe because we are now 14 years into Ansible,
Yes.
something like that, almost exactly 14 years into Ansible.
Yeah.
The problem is there are still beginners out there, but
Yes.
if we do a beginner's talk about Ansible, a lot of people, well, yeah, well, I've been doing this for 10 years now, so I don't go there, but that's a bit of a mix-up.
Like the set of expectations, set up
Yes,
of the
absolutely,
expectation.
yeah. Are we going to do a deep dive into how to build an Ansible module, or an introduction in how to write a playbook?
Yeah, I mean, for the London meetup at least, I get consistently sort of 50% self-describers new to Ansible,
Yeah.
which has been interesting. But obviously London is a big place we get people commuting in because it's the capital, right? So I think generally I try and have a mix of some introduction and then, it might be some quite complicated or convoluted thing, because it shows the breadth of the tooling.
Yeah, but if you have a speaker, you need to know.
Oh yes,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Can he do a very deep dive into Ansible modules, or is he just also a beginner who is happy to share his just knowledge, which can be good.
Yeah. Is anyone involved in any other communities where they maybe done something similar, or got like a speaker directory or volunteer type thing?
I'm not involved, but I had an addition to the thing. There's also, I personally like just having direct communication there. Maybe if a meetup is 2 days, then announce the first day is a beginner day, second day is an expert day, and have beginner talks and discussion rounds on the first day, and more expert oriented on the second day, so then people can decide which one wants to attend.
But organizing a 2-day meetup is almost impossible.
Yeah,
Because you have to have a venue with sponsors and everything.
yeah. Just to set context, these are generally sort of 2-3 hour events.
For example, if there's a quarterly meetup phase, and then have each second one an expert one.
Oh, interesting. You're talking about maybe more of the global online event.
It could be the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be the
Yeah.
same. Just name it expert or beginner. Maybe it could help, like, when folks are signing up for the meetup, if they're comfortable, it could put like what their, how long they've been using Ansible, which could help organisers with, what kind of talks they need, like the level of talks, like whether it needs to be really deeply technical, or whether there's a lot, or if there's a lot of new folks coming to that meetup, then it can help gauge what talks they need.
Yeah. So the suggestion there, and I think I've got this set, but it might not be working properly. I think now when you join one of our Ansible meetup groups, or maybe you register to attend an event, it will ask a couple of questions. And the suggestion was maybe part of that is like, what's your proficiency level? Are you?
Yeah, but I guess you have to have the talks beforehand, right?
Yeah. But yeah, and there's a comment there as well. You probably need to have the talks lined up before you announce the date. But I guess it still gives you a feel of sort of who's around.
Couldn't the speaker directory be something that lives on the forum in a shared document or something like that?
I mean,
Yes.
you said the forum, so you made me smile. So yeah, I think somewhere in there it would be, yeah.
Because we have the same problem within our company at the moment, that we do a lot of community events, but from like a lot of different technologies, finding speakers is hard.
So what's your approach been? Have you found anything that's worked so far?
The thing is, the easiest thing is often people already have some kind of presentation, so of course you don't necessarily have to do a call for papers on every meetup. So some people can just put in, I can speak about those 4 topics, I have demos, I have presentations, call me up, I show up, and I show the demo to the meetup group.
So you made me think of something interesting. So
I speak at multiple events, and every time when I have a call for speakers, so I decide which talk I will use at this event. So it's, each event has its own agenda, and you have to make a talk suitable for the audience, not just go and
so the comment there was we often when there's a call for papers, and maybe this applies to like large conferences like this, right? There might be some themes or tracks, and then you have to tailor. One thing you made me realise though when you said, well, often someone will have a presentation already ready. Can we work as a community to build some presentations with that, and then have them as with some detailed speaker notes? And maybe this is more for some of the introduction, or maybe some of the intermediate things to sort of build up a library, a bank of content.
I was working on that in the toolkit.
When we present trainings to our customers or also internally, we have everything in the mono repo. So there's like presentation slides that get rendered, and then also the demo. So all the code is in one repository. And of course, you could collaborate on this.
So, what's people's thought? Like I've got some old slides we could update them in HTML, so they work well in GitHub, so you can review the changes. Like, would people feel confident presenting some slides that you hadn't written?
It depends on what's on them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, devil's in the detail. But
If there's only a cat, that would be a problem, I guess.
yeah, 2 cats is fine.
Yeah, it depends. I'm more of a dog.
Okay.
Ducking away.
Okay. Do you think that I think that if we have all the presentations in one place, do you think that would be a nice idea if all 2026 config management camp presentations on Ansible, the slides, which we already publish, is at one place, so that the other meetup organizers, they can go to the repo and find out that what were being spoken. So, like, do you think it would be a good idea? Okay. Yes.
I think that if the goal is to make those slides available for someone else to present, that means that they have to be not PDF, because the new speaker will have to make some changes, and then here the problem starts, because Gundalow maybe has done them in HTML, I've done them in LaTeX, someone else done them in Google Slides or something else, which means that,
Yes.
or PowerPoint or whatever. And that's where the whole issue starts.
Yes, that, like, I was trying to build something, but I was not being able to be very confident about which format to pick. So that is one problem. Another problem was there were many people who were uploading stuff without having any license. So if you do not have a license on your slides, it is not essentially, we will not be able to, someone else will not be able to use it. Also so when we were discussing about the selecting the speakers for the meetups, we have to take a step back and understand this. We are talking about a global scenario. There are places in the world where we have a concentration of experts, and there are places in the world where we have both, the mix of new and beginner. So this is just from my own experience with other organizing meetups in the other domains as well, that generally what I try to do is when I talk to the speakers, essentially I just pick a theme, whether it's beginner or it's intermediate or it's advanced, and then I choose speaker based on that theme.
That's good.
Yes.
So here's one I made earlier. In this case, I think this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So these are some slides that I've got online. I think it's Reveal.js. I mean, this is some old framework, maybe something different, but it's just HTML. So you can see here, I've got this, and then the actual source code for it. Very big. It's just some very basic HTML with a heading and then some list elements. And then I think it was, I think Shaps was saying, like, we need to make sure that it can't be PDF because everyone's going to want to tweet this. It's going to need to be, sorry, maybe this will probably get updated over time. And like there have been some updates in this, and this is a nice little framework. If I can remember, I think compress S. You can get speaker notes if I put any in, and you can press escape, and you can get like a whole navigation. So maybe this is something we could have a look with, and I'd happily go and spend the time to update these slides and add some detailed notes in. I mean, if we had a repo with some of these things in, might that help? I mean, you still need someone to stand up and present, but you're not having to go through the fatigue of creating a presentation every time. And the other thing, obviously, is then they become a library of resources.
Yes.
So, you know, they're self-service if we get them sort of some good notes in.
Could be as a template, used as a template.
Yeah, we can put some template in. Maybe look at some automation. You know, maybe we can.
I think we have a Meetup toolkit. In the Meetup toolkit, we do have some templates.
I think we've got some bits like that.
Yes, we do have some templates in the Meetup toolkit itself.
I will happily go and sit down with my friend Claude AI and take some PowerPoint or PDFs and convert them into this, because it's a standard format, right? So I'll happily go and do all the legwork if people are happy to share some of their slides. Do we think this is a useful thing, or do we think this is just not solving the fundamental problem that we need some different people? Or maybe this makes it easier for anyone to do an introduction talk, or not anyone, but.
I think even if you just have the PDFs initially, it'll be quick. You can copy paste text out of it and then paste it in something like this for the next time someone needs it. But
or in your own or in your own format.
Yeah, but then you don't necessarily need to spend the time now to convert all the existing stuff.
I mean, I'm gonna pick on you again. Would you have some presentations that you'd be happy to share, Tom?
Yeah, they're all running on speaker deck.
Okay.
Yeah, same for JP, I guess.
Yeah, JP has the presentation on speaker deck, I think. Okay. Or at least I think he would be happy to share them.
I mean, because this is Power Community, right? We know that together we can all achieve more. Daniel, you were to say
I was
something?
just looking on the Meetup toolkit docs at the moment. I can find there's email templates and social media templates, but I guess if depending on the, you know, what's decided from the community about like what format for these templates, what format that is, maybe they could be like that could be uploaded there and easily accessible.
Yeah, so the comment was Daniel just had a look at the Meetup toolkit, and I do hope everyone has a chance to look at that. So we've got some email templates, like, you know, how to go and contact, ask for response and stuff, but I don't think we have some slide deck bits. And this is all optional, right? Like, if you've got presents, do what's easier for you. Right? We're trying to be the force multiplier to try and make it easier for some other folks. But so, cool. Sounds like we can do something now. Cool. So one of the other bits we talked about, how for those of you on the aren't subscribed to Meetup, which I guess is most of you, have you noticed there's a bit of spam on there? Show of hands. Interesting. How many people have email notifications turned on for Meetup.com? That's why you're not seeing the spam.
Mm.
Do you get notified when? I know there's not been a huge amount of events, but how do you get notified when there's events, or are you looking at the Bullhorn, or happening to? Okay.
I can say them because of the spam.
Yes. Yeah. So one Meetup, like any platform, gets abused, right? And there's a lot of spam. Once you report spam, Meetup are pretty good, and it gets taken down generally within a low number of minutes. But I think the problem we've seen, and we've seen it here, is because there's been so much spam, people just unsubscribe. So when we put announcements on, they're not getting to you. So one thing we're sort of thinking, and because all these meetups are basically there's individual admin and then there's a super admin over the top, which me and Leo and Risha, we can go and disable all the discussions in all of those and then direct people to the forum. Maybe we can have a thread per city or an area per. We can do whatever level of granularity, and maybe this feeds into the speakers thing. Because if we have a topic or a subcategory per city, so for our 37 groups, that's then a place easily for people to go, I'm available to do a talk in this area. So maybe that's an easier thing rather than building some huge database. I realise it's getting towards lunchtime. Anything else you wanted to go from the
just one last thing is it is also like there are few meetup organizers over here. We meetup organizers do a good job in organizing the meetup. We do not do generally we tend to avoid the post meetup stuff. It is very important for your own recognition as well as the recognition of the speakers and the attendees. After your meetup is done, your event is done, please post something in the forum saying that this meetup has been done or this meetup has taken place, we have organized this, these many topics were there, so that it becomes a repository of and history of your achievement as well as the speakers, what happened in the meetup, so that everyone can know about it. So yeah, so that is the last and the clear ending point. And next, we want to talk about something which we do a very bad job of, which is social media. So how can we improve, and what are the places, especially we do have presence in some of we are there in Mastodon, we are there in LinkedIn, Reddit, but we do not do a good job of it. How can we do it, and what are the changes you want us to be doing? Where can we start? So yes, ideas please, because we do not know, and yes.
Maybe on, is it Mastodon?
Mastodon,
Yeah,
yes.
Mastodon, sorry. You could I know we have like the Bullhorn, the weekly Bullhorn. Maybe just posting about that, saying that look, here's the new Bullhorn. Maybe it'll then drive folks to more to the forum to check out the Bullhorn as well. Maybe they're not on the forum already. I don't know, just an idea.
So essentially right now our voice is mostly on Reddit and Mastodon. We do post about that whenever there's a Bullhorn release, it is a part of the process that we have to go and post it in the Mastodon.
Oh, okay.
Also we like what I was doing in the back, that I was actually posting about whatever it is happening in over here. But let's take a step back and let's think that there are two things which needs to be done. We need to promote and market and inform inside the Ansible bubble, and there is another world like outside the Ansible bubble. So if we segregate both those things, which are the platforms you would prefer? LinkedIn, and how that can be done efficiently. So yes.
Sorry, the question is whom do you want to reach? They want to reach developers, they want to reach normal users, they want to reach business managers and so on. So these are all different categories and different social media platforms. So
there is no one answer.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't know. To search, okay, you can search for developers on LinkedIn, so you'll find them, but they are less active there as managers. And most of the people don't read technical information from LinkedIn.
So do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, so it's a really good question there. So we're saying about reaching people, or which people, right? So you're saying like collection maintainers, users, sysadmins, DevOps managers. Yeah, I guess it's sort of a mix of those. I'd say for the Bullhorn and the meetups, probably more of the people using or contributing to Ansible. But I know occasionally at the meetups I'll get like some senior manager that's heard of Ansible, or maybe someone in his team their team's using it, or whatever. But I'd say generally towards the practitioner side.
Where are you, like you?
Yeah, where do you folks look for news?
So I'm active on LinkedIn, but because I have an audience there. But for example, I would probably search more on Reddit if I need to get more users who want to automate something. So and tell them, so here's Ansible.
Yeah, so r/Ansible is a pretty active subreddit. I think from memory we've got about 40,000 members or something on those, and there's generally a decent bit of activity.
Probably the best bang for the buck, because anything else is going to be like either really narrow or really.
Yeah, like occasionally something will get cross-posted to r/Red Hat, but that's generally about sort of RHEL or the company as a whole. And I guess now I'm thinking about it when I'm saying cross-posting, it can't just be hey, we've done a new release of this thing. Like there needs to be the information now. If we're forcing people to click, then we're probably failed already. Anyone good at social media? Since we've got one expert in the room, because I would love some help with this stuff. Like, even if it's just like there's not necessarily even helping, but like, what are good strategies for tagging, or how do you track this stuff to make sure it's working? Like, are there any metrics?
I think every social media platform has metrics. LinkedIn, you can just turn on creator mode and go to your metrics, how many engagements you have, how many people read your article.
Okay. So yeah, the answer was most platforms are metrics.
Dependent.
Yeah. So the final topic is the release calendar. It is somehow consoling to see that it is not only like us who are not really doing a good job or doesn't think that we are experts. So the room full of people who are not experts in social media. So nice. So a release calendar. So last year we have made the release automated and open to the community now. We have a release managers working group where there are 5-6 people in the group. I think 4 people who are active. I think, see, Felix, 4 people. Yes, 4 of us like who are actually doing the releases. I'm the only Red Hatter, and now last year we got a new release manager who is Trey. Now we started a new initiative for release managers mentorship program, but there's a problem which we realized in that program. Releasing Ansible is it needs a lot of technical depth and expertise, so it is not a beginner friendly program. Second, there are many ancillary and preconceived concepts which you need to know to be a release manager. Secondly, you need to have the trust from the community as well as the fellow release managers. So it was in that mentorship program where there were some people who were doing a lot of progress, there were some people who were struggling. So but we hope that we'll have some new people joining the group so that we are not stuck with only 4 people. For that, a problem which we face, because it's not a problem, but this is the working of the group now. We are pretty organic. Essentially, in the morning of the release, someone will come and say, or a day before, someone will come and say that, hey, we have a release. Mostly it is Felix who's going to say that, hey, we have a release tomorrow. And then I'll come and I'll see that if someone is available, or I'll do the release. So those kind of conversation keeps happening. But after the release mentorship program has been introduced, we saw that it would be nice that if we can plan the releases a bit better, and also if we can give recognition to the release managers. So, and Felix had some ideas about it. I was thinking about having it in the forum itself, in the event calendar, or having a special release calendar. And Felix had some ideas. So about having it in a wiki, and there's a discussion going on, forum discussion going on about this. So Felix, do you want to elaborate the idea, and what should be the next step?
I'm not sure which idea exactly you mean. Or which
the
idea?
Wikis you talked about for the release calendar, GitHub issues and wikis, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure anymore about that, but I mean, one problem, or I don't understand actually looking into your direction.
Felix wanted some help for both of them.
Oh yeah. One thing, I mean, would be great to have a better schedule or something, but one thing is that these releases depend mostly on the Ansible core releases. And
yes.
Hi Matt.
Yes.
Long time. And it's kind of, these usually happen quite regularly. Every 4 weeks, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get moved for random reasons, or well, I guess they're not random, but I basically just see that the release happened at some point, and then it's like we know we have to do a release as well. But sometimes we don't really know when exactly this will happen, and sometimes they're also moved, or some releases are skipped. Like at the end of the year, if there would have been one every 4 weeks, there would have been one on like December 30th or 31st or something. We did actually an Ansible release then, but there wasn't an Ansible core release. And the next one didn't happen like 4 weeks after that, but 5 weeks after that. I'm no longer sure whether it was actually announced for that specific date or not. But yeah, these things are, I mean, it's a bit hard to have a schedule if you're depending on something which doesn't have a public schedule. So it would be a lot easier to have such a calendar if there's also a release calendar for Ansible Core. where, or if there's also some communication mechanism where core tells us earlier when things are likely getting moved. I mean, sometimes the problem is that like CI breaks down or something, then basically the release has to wait by a couple of days because of the technical problems. Or like if Galaxy dies, like we cannot make a new Ansible community package release because it tries to download the collections from Ansible, from Galaxy. So these things, of course, they happen. There's not much you can do about it. But for other things, it's, yeah. I think that was the main thing I remember from writing, but besides that, I mean, maybe one thing to add is that right now most of the people who are doing the releases, they are not working at Red Hat. They don't do Ansible as a living, or they are not getting paid for anything. So they sometimes have time or they have not time, and sometimes they don't really know. I don't know 4 weeks in advance whether I will have time at that evening. Maybe something personal came in, maybe not. I mean, during day I'm at work, I won't do the release. I'll only do it in the evening when I'm back at home. So like for me, having a fixed schedule sounds also a bit more complicated. That's another aspect, but yeah. I mean, having a schedule I think would be great. I mean, I'm not sure how many of you are using the Ansible community package instead of Ansible Core plus collections. Many. So yeah, I think it would be great for everyone to have more public schedule for that.
Do you folks care when it's released, or as long as it's released frequently?
On the slide it says, as users, what do you need? What a user needs is that it doesn't break anything. That's the most important thing. If I upgrade, my playbook shouldn't break. So if there are breaking changes in there, people say, yeah, well, you have to read the change log. Nobody does that. At least the normal user, we are not normal users, but the normal users don't read change log. They don't care. They just download, they want to run it, and if it breaks, it breaks.
Yeah.
And then they're pissed off. Really pissed off. So
oh, yeah.
that's the most important thing. Don't
strict following of Semver. Yeah, strict following of Semver.
Yeah.
For the package and every collection inside.
Dependent on that, the collections we are including actually do stick to Semver. I mean, sometimes we notice that they don't when they document it in the changelog, like there's suddenly a breaking change in a minor release, which is documented as a breaking release, and we basically kick that release out, and well, it sometimes takes us a long time to make a release because we are figuring out that some collection screws things up. But I mean, we don't check everything. We don't have time to do that, or resources. So there's a bit of a, well.
Yeah, but my remark is not only for community general, but in general.
Yeah, I mean also in general.
Or whatever module you're using or whatever collection you're using. If things break, people are really mad about it. And if that happens too much, or if they need to change a lot of their code, if that happens too much, people will look for another tool.
Yeah, but how many users just run whatever's in their distro, like in Up or in Yum, and just run the antique version that's in there?
Or somebody has told them pip install minus upgrade, and they do it on a regular basis. There are a lot of them that do that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's definitely true. But I'm not really sure what we can do about it, except hoping that the collections stick to somewhere, and if we figure out they don't, like try to either get them to do it or remove them from the whole thing. That's, at least from the side of the release managers, that's probably the only thing we can do, because we don't control these collections. And we also don't have time to go through all the changes in the collections to verify that they are not breaking.
Yes.
Which is...
Yeah, that would be a hell of a job.
Yep.
That would take 4 weeks, and then you have to restart again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
If someone wants to pay someone for that, but I won't do the job, even if you pay me. There are more fun things in life.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yes. So I was thinking that will it solve the problem? Like I'm asking Matt, and the problem of code releasing, and then the next day we do the release. Generally, code releases on Monday. And usually Monday.
If nothing goes wrong.
Yes, if nothing goes wrong. There is another problem because most of the release managers, we are in Europe. We are based in Europe, and Civil comes at night and he does the release. So when we are going to
Sometimes
bed.
it's also morning from our point.
Yes.
Depends on who's doing, like, yeah.
Yes,
there's
who is
3 of
doing
us, so, yeah.
essentially. So, do you think that it would be a good idea if we skip one day in between, and then do the release on the next?
Or I was gonna suggest a week, because like, we, you know, most of the time, we're usually doing a release by Monday afternoon, like
Yes.
specific time, but, yeah, it just depends, you know, if CI is broken or something, like, it might be the next day, and if we hit something else that's like,
Yes.
we've had, the last couple of things, we've had like either CVE fixes or something else where it's like, okay, we're not releasing until this is in.
Yes.
And then, you know, it's just problem, we release it a week late, like, you know, every day it's like, oh, it should be today, no. So, you know, but I think if you change that to a week, or at least from the things that are like where you're relying on core release schedule, you know, look how often we're late by a week, it's not very often.
It's not very
It's
often.
usually a day or two. if
It's
there's a
not
problem.
very often.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's also one question of what users expect. I mean, of course we can always like make it a week later, but that means that if you're using the package, you have to
That
wait
means-
like 1
yes.
week for updates to arrive.
I think that's only a problem if there's a CVE.
Usually.
Yeah, and also there's a different thing because we have we don't pin a strict version of Ansible core, but just a range of Ansible core versions.
Yes.
Then basically, if you install the Ansible package like 1 day after core release, you get the new core version, but you won't get new collections because only get them 1 week later, which is also a bit kind of strange. I mean, I don't think there's a perfect solution anyway.
I mean, it's a community release, right? From my
Yes.
point,
Yeah.
there's no expectation that anyone, especially those folks that are not paid by Red Hat, to be working at a certain point to get a release out, right? It's reasonable efforts when you have time. I don't like the phrase best efforts for this, I think, is the wrong term. So, yeah.
From my point of view, the current system works good enough. I never complained about it, so I mean, are users complaining about it, or you as a user, is there something you would like to change
Yes.
or improve?
Oh, we
I
are
don't-
doing a perfect
Yeah,
job.
maybe it's a non-issue for those folks outside.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I don't think anyone is jumping on the next week on the latest release the day after it's been released, right? And there's always a bit of a buffer between.
And if you are, you can always install core yourself, like right when it comes out. If you really, really
Definitely.
want those bleeding edge bits, like
Realistically,
Hmm.
like for myself, I'd be doing like an upgrade every 2-3 months maybe.
Hmm.
It's not gonna happen like every day, right?
Yeah. Actually, if we move the release or if we separate the core and the package release a bit more, it might also make it more complex for distribution packages
Yes.
who would like to keep the package together, or I don't know. Maybe it's also not an issue, but I'm not one, so I don't know.
Do we have any distro packagers in the room for this?
No.
No. Okay, then we don't know.
Cool, okay, so that was a good discussion. So we'll always be very mindful of Semvo, and we've done a reasonable job at kicking collections out that don't adhere to that, because it just breaks the social contract, technical contract. Cool. So we're about done for this bit.